Mother Bear guarded the elevator so the baby could sleep. What happened next was shocking. Let us know where you're watching from. If you love my content, consider supporting it with a super thanks. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help us to remain in touch with amazing people like you. The old apartment building stood quietly at the edge of Maple Grove, where the concrete met the wild forest. Rain tapped against the windows as Maya Chen pushed her baby stroller into the lobby. Her 6-month-old daughter, Luna, had finally fallen asleep after hours of crying. Maya's eyes were heavy with exhaustion, dark circles telling the story of countless sleepless nights. The elevator doors opened with their usual soft ding. Maya wheeled the stroller inside and pressed the button for the 7th floor. As the doors began to close, she noticed something strange through the glass entrance of the building. A large shadow moved past the windows, too big to be a person. Luna stirred slightly in her stroller, her tiny fist uncurling for a moment before settling back into peaceful sleep. Maya watched her daughter's chest rise and fall steadily. The baby looked so fragile, so perfect. Maya's heart ached with the fierce love that had surprised her since becoming a mother. The elevator climbed slowly, its gentle hum filling the small space. Maya leaned against the wall, allowing herself a moment to breathe. She had moved to this building 3 months ago, seeking a quiet place to raise Luna away from the chaos of the city. The forest nearby had seemed like a blessing then, offering fresh air and natural beauty. But lately, the forest felt different. Residents whispered about unusual animal activity. Mrs. Patterson from the 4th floor claimed she saw large paw prints in the mud near the building entrance. Old Mr. Hendricks insisted he heard strange sounds at night, sounds that didn't belong to any domestic animal. Maya had dismissed these stories as small-town gossip. Until now. The elevator suddenly stopped between the 3rd and 4th floors. The lights flickered once, then stayed on. Maya pressed the button again, but nothing happened. She tried the emergency button, but the building's intercom system had been broken for weeks. Luna remained asleep, her breathing soft and even. Maya felt her pulse quicken. Being trapped in an elevator with a baby was not something she had prepared for. She pulled out her phone, but the signal was weak. Only one bar showed on the screen. Then she heard it. A sound from outside the elevator shaft that made her blood turn cold. It was breathing, but not human breathing. It was deep, rhythmic, and far too close to the elevator doors. Maya stepped closer to the stroller, her maternal instincts kicking in. Whatever was out there, she would protect Luna with her life. The baby's peaceful sleep seemed even more precious now, a small miracle in the growing tension. The breathing continued, steady and patient. Maya realized with growing dread that whatever creature was out there wasn't moving away. It was staying close to the elevator, as if waiting for something. Luna's tiny hand moved slightly, her fingers curling around the soft blanket Maya had knitted during her pregnancy. The sight of her daughter's innocent trust broke Maya's heart and strengthened her resolve at the same time. No matter what was waiting outside these doors, she would find a way to keep Luna safe. The emergency lighting cast strange shadows in the small elevator space. Maya found herself counting Luna's breaths, using the rhythm to calm her racing heart. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Each one a reminder that her daughter was alive, healthy, and depending on her completely. Minutes passed like hours. The creature outside hadn't moved away, but it hadn't tried to break in either. Maya began to wonder what it wanted, what it was waiting for. The building had been so quiet when she entered. Where were the other residents? Why hadn't anyone noticed the elevator was stuck? Luna's face was peaceful in sleep, her dark eyelashes resting against her pale cheeks. She had Maya's eyes, but her father's nose. David would have known what to do in this situation. He had always been the practical one, the problem solver. But David was 3,000 miles away now, and Maya was alone with their daughter and whatever was breathing on the other side of these elevator doors. The breathing stopped suddenly. Maya held her own breath, straining to hear any sound from the hallway. The silence was somehow worse than the mysterious breathing had been. At least, when she could hear it, she knew where the creature was. Now, anything could be happening out there. Luna shifted in her stroller, her small mouth opening in a tiny yawn. Maya's heart jumped. If the baby woke up and started crying, would that attract whatever was lurking outside? She gently rocked the stroller, whispering a soft lullaby her own mother had sung to her years ago. "Hush now, little star. Mama's here with you. Sleep until the morning light breaks through." The words came naturally, though Maya's voice trembled slightly. She had never imagined she would be singing to keep her baby quiet while hiding from an unknown threat. Then she heard footsteps. Not paws, but actual human footsteps walking down the hallway. Relief flooded through Maya's body. It was just another resident, probably coming home from work. She pressed the emergency button repeatedly, hoping whoever it was would hear the noise and help them. "Hello?" Maya called out, her voice echoing in the elevator shaft. "Can you help us? The elevator is stuck and I have a baby with me." The footsteps stopped directly outside the elevator doors. Maya waited for a response, but none came. The silence stretched on, becoming uncomfortable. Why wasn't the person answering? "Please," Maya tried again, louder this time. "I can hear you out there. My baby and I are trapped in here. Can you call maintenance or use the manual release?" Still nothing. But Maya could sense the presence on the other side of the doors. Someone was definitely there, listening to her, but choosing not to respond. The realization sent a chill down her spine. What kind of person would ignore a plea for help from a mother with a baby? Luna's breathing changed slightly, becoming a bit faster. Maya recognized the signs. Her daughter was starting to wake up. Soon, Luna would be hungry, and when babies are hungry, they cry. Maya had maybe 10 more minutes before Luna would wake up completely. She tried her phone again, but now there was no signal at all. The metal elevator shaft was blocking everything. Maya felt panic rising in her chest. She forced herself to breathe slowly, to think clearly. Panic wouldn't help Luna. The footsteps started again, but this time they were moving differently. They were pacing back and forth in front of the elevator doors, like someone was thinking or waiting for something. Maya counted the steps. 7 steps to the left, pause. 7 steps to the right, pause, repeat. "My name is Maya," she said, trying a different approach. "I live in apartment 7B. I just moved here a few months ago with my baby daughter. We're not trying to cause any trouble. We just need help getting out of here." The pacing stopped abruptly. Maya heard what sounded like a sniff, as if someone was smelling the air. That was strange. Why would a person be sniffing around the elevator doors? Luna's eyes fluttered open, still heavy with sleep. She looked around the elevator with the confused expression babies get when they wake up in an unfamiliar place. Maya quickly bent down and stroked her daughter's soft hair. "It's okay, baby girl. Mama's right here. We're just taking a little break in the elevator. You can go back to sleep." But Luna was waking up properly now. Her tiny fist rubbed at her eyes, and she made the small whimpering sounds that usually came before crying. Maya gently lifted her daughter from the stroller, holding her close to her chest. "Shh, shh, it's all right," Maya murmured, bouncing Luna gently. The baby's warmth against her chest was comforting, reminding Maya of what she was fighting for. Whatever was happening outside these doors, she had to protect this innocent little life. Luna looked up at her mother with those big, trusting eyes. She didn't understand danger or fear. To her, as long as Mama was there, everything was safe. The responsibility of that trust felt heavier than ever. Then Maya heard the most terrifying sound yet. It wasn't footsteps or breathing. It was a low, rumbling growl that seemed to vibrate through the elevator walls. No human could make a sound like that. Maya's blood turned to ice as she realized what she was really dealing with. There was a wild animal in the hallway outside the elevator, and it wasn't leaving. Maya clutched Luna tighter, her mind racing. How had a wild animal gotten into the building? The doors were always locked, and the lobby was well lit. Unless someone had left a door open, or the creature had found another way in. The growling continued, low and threatening. Maya could hear the animal moving around, its claws clicking against the hallway floor. It sounded big, much bigger than a dog or cat. Maya's mouth went dry as she remembered the stories about bear sightings in the area. Luna began to fuss, sensing her mother's tension. Babies were sensitive to their parents' emotions, and Maya's fear was probably affecting her daughter. Maya forced herself to relax her muscles, to breathe more slowly. She needed to stay calm for Luna's sake. "It's okay, sweetheart," Maya whispered, her voice steadier than she felt. "Mama's going to figure this out. We're safe in here." But were they really safe? The elevator doors were just thin metal. If a large bear really wanted to get in, could these doors stop it? Maya didn't know much about bear behavior, but she knew they were incredibly strong. The animal outside was moving again, and Maya could hear its heavy breathing returning. It seemed to be investigating the elevator doors, perhaps trying to understand what was making the sounds from inside. Maya realized that her talking might be attracting its attention. She decided to stay quiet and see what happened. Maybe the animal would lose interest and leave. Maya held Luna close, gently patting her back in the rhythm that always soothed her. The baby's breathing slowed as she relaxed against her mother's chest. Minutes passed in tense silence. Maya could still hear the animal outside, but it wasn't growling anymore. Instead, she heard what sounded like sniffing and occasional movement. The creature was still there, but it seemed calmer now. Then Luna did something that made Maya's heart stop. The baby let out a small, happy giggle. The sound echoed in the quiet elevator, and Maya knew the animal outside had heard it too. All movement in the hallway stopped. Maya held her breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Instead of aggression, Maya heard what sounded almost like a gentle whimper from outside the doors. It was a softer sound, almost questioning. Luna giggled again, as if she was responding to the sound. Maya couldn't believe what she was hearing. Was her baby somehow communicating with whatever was outside? It seemed impossible, but Luna was making happy sounds, not frightened ones. The baby's instincts were usually very good about detecting danger. The animal outside made another soft sound, almost like a response to Luna's giggle. Maya felt her fear begin to mix with wonder. What was happening here? What kind of creature was outside those doors? Luna reached up with her tiny hand and touched Maya's face, her fingers exploring her mother's cheek. The baby's touch was so gentle, so trusting, that Maya felt tears prick at her eyes. How could something so pure and innocent exist in a world that suddenly felt so dangerous and unpredictable? The sounds from outside the elevator changed again. Maya heard what sounded like scratching, but it was gentle, almost careful. Not the aggressive clawing she might expect from a trapped or angry animal. Instead, it sounded almost like the creature was trying to communicate through the metal doors. Maya made a decision that surprised even herself. She moved closer to the elevator doors and spoke softly. "Hello," she whispered. "I don't know what you are, but you can probably hear us in here. I have a baby with me. She's very small and helpless. I need to keep her safe." The scratching stopped immediately. Maya waited, her heart pounding so hard she was sure the creature outside could hear it. Luna gurgled softly, seemingly unbothered by the entire situation. Sometimes Maya envied her daughter's innocence, her ability to find joy in the simplest moments. Then Maya heard something that made her question everything she thought she knew about wild animals. The creature outside was making a sound that was almost like humming. It was low and rhythmic, like a lullaby. The sound was so unexpected, so gentle, that Maya found herself relaxing despite the bizarre situation. Luna responded to the humming by making her own soft cooing sounds. The baby seemed fascinated by the gentle sound coming from outside the elevator. Maya watched in amazement as her daughter's eyes grew bright with interest, not fear. "You like that sound, don't you, baby girl?" Maya whispered to Luna. "What do you think is out there? What kind of animal makes music?" The humming continued for several minutes, and Maya found herself swaying gently to the rhythm, soothing Luna in her arms. The sound was actually quite beautiful, deep and resonant. It reminded Maya of the whale songs she had heard in nature documentaries, but warmer somehow, more personal. Then the humming stopped, and Maya heard movement again. But this time the footsteps were different. They were lighter, smaller. Maya realized with a shock that there wasn't just one animal outside the elevator. There were at least two. The smaller footsteps moved around quickly, and Maya heard what sounded like playful sounds. Little chirps and squeaks that reminded her of the sounds Luna made when she was happy and excited. Could there be a baby animal out there with its parent? The thought changed everything for Maya. If there was a mother animal outside with her baby, then Maya understood exactly what was happening. The mother was being protective just like Maya was. They were both mothers, trying to keep their children safe in an uncertain situation. "Are you a mama too?" Maya asked softly through the doors. "Do you have a little one with you?" As if in response, Maya heard the smaller creature make a series of excited chirping sounds. The larger animal made a different sound, lower and more reassuring, like a mother comforting her child. Luna giggled again, and this time the baby animal outside responded with what sounded like playful squeaking. Maya couldn't believe what she was witnessing. Her human baby and a wild animal baby were somehow communicating through the elevator doors. "This is incredible," Maya whispered to herself. "Luna, I think you've made a friend." But the reality of their situation came rushing back. They were still trapped in an elevator, and Maya had no idea how long they would be stuck here. Luna would need to eat soon, and Maya's diaper bag was running low on supplies. She needed to find a way out of this elevator. Maya tried her phone again, but still no signal. She pressed the emergency button repeatedly, hoping someone in the building would eventually hear it. The building manager, Mr. Rodriguez, usually worked late. Maybe he was still in his office on the first floor. The larger animal outside seemed to sense Maya's distress. The humming started again, but this time it was softer, more comforting. Maya found herself taking deeper breaths, feeling some of her panic subside. There was something almost magical about the way the animal's voice could calm her nerves. Luna was getting fussier now, and Maya knew her daughter was getting hungry. She had a bottle in the diaper bag, but she would need to warm it somehow. The elevator had emergency lighting, but no power outlets. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," Maya said to Luna. "Mama doesn't have warm milk right now. Can you be patient a little longer?" Luna whimpered. her tiny face scrunching up in the way that usually preceded crying. Maya bounced her gently, trying to distract her daughter from her hunger. Then something extraordinary happened. The larger animal outside began humming again, but this time the melody was different. It was the same lullaby Maya had been singing earlier. "Hush now, little star, Mama's here with you." Maya's breath caught in her throat. How could the animal possibly know that song? She had only sung it once, quietly, when Luna was starting to wake up. But somehow, the creature had not only heard it, but learned it well enough to hum it back. Luna stopped whimpering and listened to the humming with wide, fascinated eyes. The baby seemed to recognize her lullaby, even though it was being sung by a wild animal outside the elevator. "How is this possible?" Maya whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. The humming continued, and Luna began to relax in her mother's arms. The hunger was still there, but the soothing melody was helping to distract her from it. Maya felt tears rolling down her cheeks as she listened to this wild creature singing her daughter to sleep. Then Maya heard something else that made her heart race. Footsteps in the hallway, but these were definitely human. Heavy boots walking quickly toward the elevator. "Help!" Maya called out loudly. "Someone help us! We're trapped in the elevator." The footsteps stopped, and Maya heard a man's voice. "Hello? Is someone in there?" "Yes," Maya shouted back. "My baby and I are stuck in here. The elevator won't move." "Okay, I'm going to get you out of there," the man replied. "My name is Jake. I'm the night security guard. Are you hurt?" "No, we're not hurt. But my baby is getting hungry and I need to get her out of here," Maya called back. "I'm going to call the elevator company and get a technician here right away," Jake said. "It might take a little while, but we'll get you out, I promise." Maya felt relief wash over her. Finally, someone who could help them. But then she realized something that made her stomach drop. The animals outside had gone completely silent when Jake arrived. They were still there. Maya could sense their presence, but they weren't making any sounds. "Jake," Maya called out. "Be careful out there. I think there might be some wild animals in the building." There was a pause before Jake responded. "Wild animals? What kind of animals?" "I'm not sure," Maya admitted. "But I've been hearing sounds that don't seem human, and they've been very gentle. But I thought you should know." "Okay, I'll be careful," Jake said. "I'm going to look around the hallway and then go call for help. I'll be right back." Maya heard Jake's footsteps moving away from the elevator. As soon as he was gone, the gentle humming started again. The animals had waited until the human left before resuming their lullaby. Luna was fighting sleep now, her tiny fists rubbing at her eyes. The combination of hunger and exhaustion was making her cranky. Maya knew she needed to feed her daughter soon, or Luna would start crying in earnest. "Just a little longer, baby girl," Maya whispered. "Help is coming." But as Maya listened to the mysterious lullaby continuing outside the elevator doors, she found herself wondering if she really wanted to be rescued. There was something magical happening here, something she might never experience again. Her daughter was connecting with wild creatures in a way that seemed impossible, yet undeniably real. Maya made a mental note to tell this story to Luna when she was older, though she wondered if anyone would ever believe it. A mother bear and her cub, humming lullabies to a human baby trapped in an elevator. It sounded like something out of a fairy tale. The humming grew softer, more distant. Maya realized the animals were moving away from the elevator, probably because they had heard the human security guard. She felt an unexpected sadness at the thought of losing this connection. "Wait," Maya whispered toward the doors. "Don't go yet." But the hallway was growing quiet. The magical moment was ending. and Maya wasn't sure she was ready for it to be over. Luna had fallen asleep again in her arms, soothed by the wild lullaby. Her daughter's face was peaceful, unaware that she had just experienced something extraordinary. Maya heard Jake's footsteps returning, accompanied by another set of footsteps. The rescue was beginning, and soon they would be free from the elevator. But part of Maya felt like she was losing something precious, something that could never be recaptured once the elevator doors opened and the ordinary world rushed back in. "Maya?" Jake called through the doors. "I'm here with Tom from maintenance. We're going to get you out of there. How are you holding up?" "We're okay," Maya replied, though her voice carried a note of sadness that surprised her. "My daughter is sleeping now." "Good, that's good," Jake said. "Tom here has the manual release key. It might take a few minutes, but we'll have those doors open soon." Maya heard the sound of metal tools clinking together as Tom worked on the elevator mechanism. She looked down at Luna, who was sleeping peacefully in her arms. Her daughter's face was so serene, so trusting. Maya wondered if Luna would remember this experience when she grew up, or if it would fade into the forgotten dreams of infancy. "Got it," Tom said after several minutes. "The manual release is working. Stand back from the doors, Maya. They're going to open slowly." Maya stepped back, holding Luna protectively. The elevator doors began to part with a mechanical grinding sound. Light from the hallway spilled into the elevator, making Maya squint after so long in the dim emergency lighting. As the doors opened wider, Maya saw Jake and Tom standing in the hallway. Jake was a tall man in his 50s with graying hair and kind eyes. Tom was younger, wearing a maintenance uniform and holding a toolbox. But what Maya didn't see made her heart sink. The hallway was empty except for the two men. There was no sign of the animals that had been her companions for the past hour. No mother bear, no baby cub, no evidence that any wild creatures had ever been there. "Thank goodness you're safe," Jake said, stepping forward. "Let me help you with that stroller." As Jake wheeled the empty stroller out of the elevator, Maya looked around the hallway carefully. There were no paw prints on the polished floor, no scratches on the walls, no signs of any animal presence. Maya began to doubt her own memory. Had she imagined the whole thing? "Jake," Maya said hesitantly, "when you were here before, did you see any animals or hear any unusual sounds?" Jake and Tom exchanged glances. "No, I didn't see any animals," Jake said slowly. "Why? Did you think you heard something while you were trapped?" Maya felt her cheeks redden. I thought I heard some sounds, but maybe it was just the building settling or pipes creaking." "These old buildings make all kinds of noises," Tom said kindly. "When you're stuck in a small space like that, especially with a baby, it's natural for your mind to play tricks on you. Stress can make us hear things that aren't really there." Maya nodded, though she felt confused and disappointed. The humming, the lullaby, Luna's happy responses. It had all seemed so real. But perhaps Tom was right. Perhaps stress and exhaustion had made her imagine the whole thing. "Let's get you and your baby up to your apartment," Jake suggested. "You've both been through enough for one night." Maya settled Luna back into her stroller and followed Jake to the working elevator at the other end of the hallway. As they rode up to the 7th floor, Maya found herself looking back toward the elevator where they had been trapped. Had it really all been in her imagination? Jake walked Maya to her apartment door and waited while she got out her keys. "Are you sure you're going to be okay?" he asked. That was quite an ordeal. "Yes, we'll be fine," Maya said, though she didn't feel fine. She felt like she had lost something important, something magical that she couldn't quite name. "If you need anything, just call the front desk," Jake said. "I'll be here all night." Maya thanked him and went inside her apartment. She gently transferred the still sleeping Luna from the stroller to her crib, marveling at how her daughter had slept through most of the rescue. Luna's little chest rose and fell peacefully. Her tiny fingers curled into loose fists. Maya stood by the crib for a long time, watching her daughter sleep. The apartment felt too quiet after the events in the elevator. Maya found herself missing the gentle humming, the sense of connection with something wild and wonderful. She walked to her living room window, which faced the forest behind the building. The moon was bright tonight, casting silver light on the trees. Maya pressed her face to the glass, searching the tree line for any sign of movement. For a moment, she thought she saw something. A large, dark shape moving between the trees, with a smaller shape beside it. But when Maya blinked and looked again, there was nothing there, just shadows dancing in the moonlight. Maya made herself a cup of tea and sat in her favorite chair by the window. She tried to convince herself that Tom was right, that stress had made her imagine the animals, but deep in her heart, she knew what she had experienced was real. The humming had been too beautiful, too precise to be a hallucination, and Luna's responses had been too genuine. As Maya sipped her tea, she noticed something that made her breath catch. There, on her windowsill, was a single wildflower. It was a type she had never seen before, with delicate white petals and a sweet, honey-like scent. Maya was certain it hadn't been there when she left for her errands that evening. She picked up the flower carefully, examining its perfect petals. The stem looked like it had been carefully placed on the windowsill, not blown there by wind. Someone or something had deliberately left this flower for her to find. Maya held the flower to her nose, breathing in its lovely fragrance. As she did, she could have sworn she heard a faint echo of the humming from the elevator. It was so soft it might have been her imagination, but it filled her with warmth and peace. Luna stirred in her crib, making the small sounds that meant she was waking up. Maya went to her daughter and lifted her gently, surprised to find that Luna wasn't crying for food as expected. Instead, the baby was making happy, cooing sounds, looking around the room with bright, alert eyes. "What is it, baby girl?" Maya whispered. "What do you see?" Luna's gaze fixed on the window, and she made a series of soft chirping sounds that reminded Maya strongly of the baby animal from the elevator. Maya carried Luna to the window, and together they looked out at the forest. The moon illuminated the trees clearly now, and Maya gasped at what she saw. There, at the edge of the forest, stood a large black bear with a small cub beside her. The mother bear was looking directly up at Maya's window, and even from this distance Maya could see intelligence and gentleness in her eyes. The bear cub was smaller than Maya had imagined, fluffy and adorable, like a living teddy bear. As Maya watched, the cub stood on its hind legs and seemed to wave a paw in their direction. Luna squealed with delight and reached toward the window, her tiny hands pressing against the glass. The baby bear responded by bouncing excitedly, and even the mother bear seemed to nod approvingly. Maya felt tears streaming down her face as she realized the truth. The animals had been real. They hadn't abandoned her when the rescue team arrived. They had simply retreated to give her space. And now they were letting her know that the connection they had formed was still there. "Look, Luna," Maya whispered to her daughter. "There are your friends. They came to say goodnight." The mother bear began to move, turning to head deeper into the forest. But before she disappeared into the trees, she looked back at Maya's window one more time. Maya could have sworn she saw the bear nod, as if acknowledging their shared understanding of what it meant to be a mother protecting her child. The cub lingered a moment longer, seeming reluctant to leave. Luna continued making her happy chirping sounds, and the cub responded with its own small vocalizations. Finally, the cub followed its mother into the forest, and they both vanished among the trees. Maya stood at the window for a long time, holding Luna and processing what had just happened. The world felt different now, larger and more magical than it had before. She had experienced something that most people would never believe, something that had changed her understanding of the connections possible between different species. Luna eventually fell asleep again in her mother's arms, and Maya carefully placed her back in the crib. But before going to her own bed, Maya returned to the window one more time. She pressed the wildflower between the pages of Luna's baby book, wanting to preserve this piece of their extraordinary night. As she prepared for bed, Maya found herself humming the lullaby she had sung in the elevator. But now it had a different quality, enriched by the memory of hearing it echoed back by a wild creature who had somehow understood its meaning. Maya fell asleep that night with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in months. She dreamed of forests and lullabies, of gentle bears and the mysterious ways that love could bridge even the widest gaps between different worlds. But her peaceful sleep was interrupted in the early hours of the morning by a sound that made her sit up in bed with her heart racing. Someone was knocking on her apartment door. Not the gentle knock of a neighbor, but urgent, insistent pounding that suggested trouble. Maya grabbed her robe and hurried to the door, checking through the peephole. It was Jake, the security guard, and his face looked grim. Maya's stomach clenched with worry as she opened the door. "Maya, I'm sorry to wake you," Jake said, his voice tight with concern. "But we have a problem. There's been an incident in the building tonight, and I need to ask you some questions about what happened in that elevator." Maya felt her mouth go dry. What kind of incident? "Someone reported seeing large animals in the building," Jake said. "A resident on the 5th floor called the police, claiming she saw a bear and her cub in the hallway. The police are on their way, and they're going to want to talk to you about what you experienced tonight." Maya's mind raced. If the police got involved, if animal control was called, what would happen to the mother bear and her cub? They had done nothing wrong. They had been gentle, even protective. The thought of them being hunted or captured because of what happened tonight made Maya feel sick. "Jake," Maya said carefully, "what exactly did the resident say she saw?" "Mrs. Henderson from 5C said she heard strange sounds in the hallway around midnight. When she looked through her peephole, she saw a large black bear walking past her door, with a small cub following behind. She was terrified, Maya. She's been calling everyone she knows, telling them there are dangerous wild animals loose in the building." Maya felt anger flare in her chest. Dangerous? The bears had been nothing but gentle. They had sung lullabies to her daughter, had communicated peacefully through the elevator doors. There had been no aggression, no threat. "The police will be here within the hour," Jake continued. "They're bringing animal control officers with them. If there really are bears in this building, they'll need to be removed immediately. The safety of the residents has to come first." Maya nodded, though her heart was breaking. She understood Jake's concern, understood the fear of the other residents. But she also knew something they didn't, that not all wild animals were dangerous, that sometimes the most unexpected connections could form between species. "I need to check on Luna," Maya said. "Can you give me a few minutes to get dressed before the police arrive?" "Of course," Jake said. "But Maya, I need you to think carefully about what you're going to tell them. If you really did encounter these animals tonight, the officers will need to know every detail." Maya closed the door and leaned against it, her mind spinning. She had a choice to make, and she knew it would change everything. She could tell the police the truth about her experience, about the gentle humming, about the peaceful communication, about the flower left on her windowsill. Or she could protect the bears by claiming she had heard nothing unusual in the elevator. Luna was awake in her crib, looking up at her mother with those bright, trusting eyes. Maya picked up her daughter and held her close, remembering the joy on Luna's face when she saw the bears at the window. "What should Mama do, baby girl?" Maya whispered. "How do I protect your friends while keeping everyone safe?" Luna looked up at her mother and made a soft cooing sound, reaching up to touch Maya's face with her tiny fingers. In that moment, Maya felt a clarity wash over her. She knew what she had to do, even if it meant putting herself at risk. Maya quickly got dressed and prepared Luna's diaper bag. She had maybe 30 minutes before the police arrived, and she needed to use that time wisely. She wrote a quick note and tucked it into her purse, then gathered Luna in her arms. "We're going for a little walk, sweetheart," Maya whispered to her daughter. "Mama needs to do something important." Maya slipped out of her apartment and took the stairs instead of the elevator. She didn't want to risk running into Jake or any other residents who might ask questions. The stairwell was quiet, lit only by emergency lighting that cast long shadows on the walls. When Maya reached the ground floor, she could hear voices in the lobby. Jake was talking to someone, probably another resident who had heard about the bear sighting. Maya slipped out through the building's rear exit, the one that led directly to the forest path. The night air was cool and fresh, carrying the scent of pine trees and wild flowers. Luna seemed to sense the change in environment, her eyes growing bright and alert as she looked around at the moonlit landscape. Maya walked quickly along the forest path, following the trail she had discovered when she first moved to the building. She had never walked it at night before, but the moon was bright enough to light her way. Every few steps she paused to listen for sounds of the bears. After about 10 minutes of walking, Maya heard it, the soft humming she had first encountered in the elevator. It was coming from a clearing just ahead, where the moonlight streamed through a gap in the trees. Maya's heart raced as she approached the sound. In the clearing, Maya saw them. The mother bear was sitting with her back against a large oak tree, and her cub was curled up against her side. The mother bear was humming the same lullaby Maya had sung in the elevator, her deep voice creating a melody that seemed to blend perfectly with the night sounds of the forest. When the mother bear saw Maya approaching, she stopped humming but didn't move away. Instead, she watched Maya with those intelligent eyes, as if she had been expecting her. "Hello?" Maya said softly, stopping at the edge of the clearing. "I hope you don't mind me coming to find you. I needed to warn you about something." The bear cub lifted its head and made a happy chirping sound when it saw Luna. Luna responded with excited baby noises, reaching toward the cub with her small hands. Maya took a deep breath and continued. "There are people coming to look for you. They think you're dangerous, but I know you're not. I know you were just protecting your baby, just like I was protecting mine." The mother bear made a low, gentle sound that somehow conveyed understanding. She stood up slowly, her massive form moving with surprising grace. The cub stayed close to her side, but continued making soft sounds toward Luna. "I don't know how long you've been living near our building," Maya said, "but it's not safe for you there anymore. People are scared, and when people are scared, they sometimes do things that hurt innocent creatures." As if in response to Maya's words, the distant sound of sirens began to echo through the forest. The police were arriving at the building. Maya felt her chest tighten with anxiety, knowing that every minute she stayed out here increased the risk of being caught. The mother bear seemed to understand the urgency, too. She nuzzled her cub gently, then looked directly at Maya. For a moment, that felt eternal. The two mothers regarded each other across the species divide, sharing an understanding that went deeper than words. Then the mother bear did something that took Maya's breath away. She approached slowly, stopping just a few feet from where Maya stood. The bear lowered her massive head and made a sound that was almost like a purr, a sound of gratitude and farewell. Luna squealed with delight and reached out toward the bear. To Maya's amazement, the mother bear gently extended one huge paw, allowing Luna's tiny fingers to briefly touch her fur. The contact lasted only a second, but Maya knew it was a moment that would stay with her daughter forever, even if Luna was too young to remember it consciously. The bear cub couldn't resist coming closer too. It bounced over to Maya and stood on its hind legs, reaching up toward Luna with its own small paws. Luna giggled and tried to reach down toward the cub, creating a brief moment of pure joy between the two babies. But the sirens were getting closer, and Maya knew their time was running out. "You need to go deeper into the forest," she told the bears urgently. "Far away from the building, where the people won't find you." The mother bear seemed to nod, then made a series of low sounds to her cub. The little bear reluctantly moved away from Maya and Luna, following its mother toward the deeper part of the forest. But before they disappeared completely, the mother bear turned back one last time. She began to hum again, but this time it was a different melody. It was a song Maya had never heard before, haunting and beautiful, like a blessing or a promise. Luna listened to the song with wide, fascinated eyes, and Maya felt tears rolling down her cheeks. This was goodbye, she realized. After tonight, the bears would be gone, disappeared into the vast wilderness where they belonged. The humming faded as the bears moved deeper into the trees, and soon Maya was alone in the clearing with Luna. The silence felt profound after the magical encounter, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Maya hurried back toward the building, knowing she needed to return before her absence was discovered. As she walked, she rehearsed the story she would tell the police. She would claim that she had heard nothing unusual in the elevator, that stress and exhaustion had made her imagine sounds that weren't there. It was a lie, but it was a lie that would protect the bears. When Maya reached the building, she saw police cars and an animal control van parked outside. Officers with flashlights were searching the grounds, looking for any sign of the bears. Maya slipped in through the rear entrance and took the stairs back to her floor. She was just putting her key in her apartment lock when she heard footsteps behind her. "Maya?" It was Jake's voice. "Where have you been?" "The police want to talk to you." Maya turned around, trying to look calm despite her racing heart. "I just took Luna for a quick walk," she said. "She was fussy and I thought the fresh air might help her sleep." Jake looked confused. "You went outside? At this time of night? With everything that's happening?" "I didn't know about the police when I left," Maya said, which was technically true. "I just stepped out for a few minutes. Luna has been having trouble sleeping since we got stuck in the elevator." Two police officers appeared at the end of the hallway, walking toward them. Maya recognized the type immediately. Serious, professional, focused on gathering facts. She took a deep breath and prepared to lie to protect the creatures who had shown her such unexpected kindness. "Ms. Chen?" The taller officer approached her. "I'm Officer Martinez, and this is Officer Davis. We need to ask you some questions about what happened in the elevator tonight." "Of course," Maya said, shifting Luna to a more comfortable position in her arms, "though I'm not sure how much help I can be." "We understand you were trapped in the elevator for approximately an hour," Officer Martinez said, pulling out a notebook. "During that time, did you hear any unusual sounds? Anything that might have been made by a large animal?" Maya looked down at Luna, who was looking up at her with those trusting eyes. Her daughter's face was peaceful, showing no signs of the fear she would have felt if they had truly been in danger from wild animals. "I heard some sounds," Maya said carefully. "But I think they were just normal building noises. Pipes, maybe, or the heating system. When you're trapped in a small space like that, especially with a baby, your imagination can play tricks on you." Officer Davis stepped forward. A resident on the 5th floor reported seeing a large black bear and a cub in the hallway around midnight. That would have been right around the time you were stuck. Are you sure you didn't hear anything that could have been bears? Maya felt her palms getting sweaty, but she forced herself to remain calm. I didn't see any bears, she said, which was true. She hadn't seen them in the hallway. And honestly, I was so focused on keeping my daughter calm that I probably wouldn't have noticed much else. The officers exchanged glances. Miss Chen, Officer Martinez said, we're going to need to search the building and the surrounding area. If there are bears living near this residential building, it's a serious safety concern. Even if they seem peaceful, wild animals can be unpredictable, especially when they have young to protect. Maya nodded, though her heart was breaking. She knew the officers were just doing their job, trying to keep people safe. But she also knew that the bears posed no threat, that they were just a mother and child trying to survive in a world that was increasingly hostile to wild creatures. I understand, Maya said. I hope you find whatever you're looking for. Officer Davis was studying Maya's face carefully. Ms. Chen, I have to ask. You seem very calm for someone who was potentially in close proximity to dangerous wild animals tonight. Are you sure there isn't anything else you want to tell us? Maya felt Luna shift in her arms, and her daughter made a soft cooing sound. The sound reminded Maya so strongly of the gentle communication between Luna and the bear cub that she almost broke down and told the officers everything. Instead, she smiled and looked down at her daughter. Luna has always been a very calm baby, Maya said. She has a way of staying peaceful even when things around her are chaotic. I think I take my cue from her. The officers asked a few more questions, but Maya stuck to her story. She had heard some sounds, but nothing that seemed unusual for an old building. She had been focused on her baby and hadn't noticed anything alarming. Finally, the officers thanked her for her cooperation and headed back downstairs to continue their search. Jake lingered for a moment, still looking concerned. Maya, are you sure you're okay? He asked. You seem different somehow. Like something happened tonight that you're not talking about. Maya looked at Jake's kind face and felt a pang of guilt for not being completely honest with him. But she thought about the gentle humming, about the way the mother bear had allowed Luna to touch her fur, about the peaceful goodbye in the forest clearing. I'm fine, Jake, Maya said softly. Tonight was challenging, but Luna and I are safe, and that's what matters. Jake nodded, though he still looked unconvinced. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. And Maya, maybe stick to daytime walks for a while, okay? At least until we know for sure that there aren't any wild animals around. Maya promised she would be careful, then went into her apartment and locked the door behind her. She leaned against the door for a moment, feeling the weight of what she had just done. She had lied to protect the bears, but she had also potentially put other people at risk if the bears weren't as gentle as she believed them to be. But as Maya looked down at Luna, who was smiling up at her with bright, happy eyes, she knew she had made the right choice. Her daughter showed no signs of trauma or fear. Instead, Luna seemed more content than she had been in weeks, as if the encounter with the bears had somehow completed something important in her young life. Maya settled into her rocking chair by the window and began to nurse Luna. As her daughter fed peacefully, Maya looked out at the forest, wondering where the bears were now. Were they safe? Had they found a place far enough from human civilization to live in peace? The forest looked different to Maya now, less like a collection of trees, and more like a living community of creatures trying to survive and care for their families. She thought about the mother bear, probably finding a safe place for her cub to sleep, humming gentle lullabies to comfort her baby just as Maya was comforting Luna. As Luna finished nursing and drifted off to sleep, Maya heard the sound of vehicles starting up outside. She looked out the window and saw the police cars and animal control van driving away. The search had apparently turned up nothing, which meant the bears had successfully escaped to safety. Maya felt a mixture of relief and sadness. Relief that the bears were safe, but sadness that the magical connection she had felt with them was now just a memory. She would probably never see them again, never hear that beautiful humming, never witness the sweet communication between Luna and the bear cub. But as Maya prepared to put Luna in her crib, her daughter did something that made Maya's heart skip a beat. Luna began to make a soft humming sound, almost like the melody the mother bear had sung in the forest. It was just baby babbling, but the rhythm and tone were unmistakably similar to the bear's lullaby. Maya sat down heavily in her chair, staring at her daughter in wonder. Could Luna actually remember the bear's songs? Was it possible that the connection they had formed was so deep that it had left a lasting impression on her baby's developing mind? Luna continued humming softly as she settled into sleep, and Maya found herself humming along. Together, mother and daughter created a gentle melody that seemed to bridge the gap between the human world and the wild, carrying the memory of an extraordinary night when two species had found common ground in their shared experience of love and protection. Maya carefully placed Luna in her crib, but her daughter's soft humming continued even in sleep. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, somehow containing echoes of ancient wisdom and wild freedom. Maya stood by the crib for a long time, listening to her baby's unconscious song and feeling her heart expand with wonder. As the first rays of dawn began to filter through the apartment windows, Maya made her way back to her bedroom. She was exhausted, but her mind was too active for sleep. The events of the night felt like a dream, too extraordinary to be real. Yet the flower pressed in Luna's baby book and the melody still echoing from the nursery proved otherwise. Maya lay in bed watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. Somewhere out there in the vast forest, a mother bear was probably watching the same sunrise, her cub safe beside her. Maya smiled at the thought, feeling a connection that transcended distance and species. 3 weeks later, Maya was pushing Luna's stroller through the building lobby when she encountered Mrs. Henderson, the woman who had reported the bear sighting. The elderly woman approached with a concerned expression. "Oh, Maya, dear," Mrs. Henderson said. "I heard you were the one trapped in the elevator that terrible night. You must have been so frightened with those dangerous beasts roaming the building." Maya looked down at Luna, who was awake and alert in her stroller. At the mention of the bears, Luna made a soft, musical sound that Maya now recognized as her version of the bear's lullaby. "Actually, Mrs. Henderson," Maya said gently, "I never felt frightened that night. Sometimes what we think is dangerous is really just different. Sometimes fear makes us see threats where there are only other mothers trying to protect their children." Mrs. Henderson looked puzzled, but nodded politely before hurrying away. Maya continued outside with Luna, heading for their daily walk along the forest path. Over the weeks since that magical night, Maya had established a routine of walking the forest trail every morning. She never saw the bears again, but she often found small gifts left along the path. A perfectly shaped pine cone, a cluster of wildflowers, a smooth stone that fit perfectly in Luna's tiny hand. Maya couldn't prove the bears were leaving these treasures, but in her heart, she knew. Luna had grown more alert and responsive since that night, as if her brief contact with the wild world had awakened something profound in her developing consciousness. She continued to hum the bear's melody, especially when they walked in the forest. Other parents commented on what an unusually calm and wise baby Luna seemed to be. On this particular morning, as Maya and Luna reached their favorite clearing, something extraordinary happened. From deep in the forest came the sound of gentle humming, not one voice, but two. The mother bear's deep, resonant tone was joined by a higher, younger voice that could only belong to her cub. Luna immediately responded with her own humming, creating a three-part harmony that seemed to make the very trees sway in rhythm. Maya felt tears streaming down her cheeks as she realized the bears were telling her they were safe, they were thriving, and they remembered their human friends. The humming continued for several minutes, a conversation between species that needed no translation. When it finally faded, Maya whispered into the forest, "Thank you for teaching us that love has no boundaries." As if in response, a gentle breeze stirred the trees, and a single white feather drifted down to land in Luna's stroller. Not from any bird Maya could identify, but beautiful and pristine, like a blessing from the wild heart of the world. Maya picked up the feather and tucked it into Luna's baby book next to the pressed wildflower. These would be the only physical proof of their extraordinary encounter, but Maya knew that the real gift was much deeper. The bears had taught her that motherhood was a universal language, that protection and love could create bridges between the most unlikely companions. That night, as Maya nursed Luna by the window overlooking the forest, her daughter fell asleep humming. But this time, Maya heard something new in the melody. Not just the bear's ancient song, but something uniquely Luna's own, as if she was adding her own voice to a conversation that would continue throughout her life. Maya looked out at the moonlit forest and whispered a promise to the darkness. "I'll teach her about you. I'll make sure she remembers that the world is full of magic for those brave enough to listen with their hearts." From somewhere in the vast wilderness, carried on the night wind, came the faint echo of a mother bear's lullaby, a reminder that some connections transcend time, distance, and species. Maya smiled and added her own voice to the song, creating a harmony that would echo in Luna's dreams and shape her understanding of the beautiful, mysterious world she had been born into. Years would pass, and Luna would grow into a child who spoke gently to animals, who found four-leaf clovers and hidden birds' nests, who hummed melodies that seemed to come from the earth itself. When people asked where her daughter learned such unusual songs, Maya would just smile and say, "Some music comes from the heart of the wild world. Luna was born knowing how to listen." And on quiet nights when the moon was full and the forest was alive with ancient rhythms, Maya would sometimes hear the distant sound of humming from the trees, a mother bear singing her cub to sleep, carrying forward a tradition of love that knew no boundaries between human and wild, between fear and understanding, between the world we think we know and the magical reality that exists for those wise enough to believe. The elevator in the old building was repaired the next day, but Maya never used it without remembering the night it became a sanctuary, where two mothers met across impossible differences and discovered that love speaks every language, sings every song, and protects every child, whether human or wild, tame or free. Luna's first word wasn't mama or dada. It was a soft humming sound that perfectly matched the frequency of a mother bear's lullaby, proving that some lessons are learned not through teaching, but through the mysterious magic of hearts that recognize each other across all the boundaries that divide us. And in the deep forest, where ancient trees guard ancient secrets, a mother bear occasionally stops her evening hunt to listen for the sound of a human baby's song carried on the wind, knowing that somewhere in the world of concrete and glass, a little girl is growing up with the wild still singing in her heart.